What up? Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Blue Gamer Bluecast Morning Show. I'm your host, Adam Blue, 30-plus year video game enthusiast and industry analyst. And today for July 14th, 2025, I'll run through the latest gaming news, what I've been playing, stuff like that. Shout out, Ultronymous, good to see you in chat. Hidden Base, actually, I think it's called, it's like Hidden Base or Launch Base Zone or something like that. But I want to say there is a stage called Hidden Base Zone or something, right? That, we got to brush up on our Sonic lore. There's just so much they've added, right? But yeah, that reminds me of an interview. I didn't have loaded up for this. There was an interview with a guy from Sega that was pivotal with their launch titles of the Dreamcast. And then I think he left and he's come back since or something. He's the one that's helping with their newer, with their older IP, but bringing them back. So that's exciting. But yeah, hope you all had a good weekend. I sure did. And, it's dark out. It's rainy right now. I decided to keep this open. I kind of like the way it looked. You can barely see it, but over here we pulled up the grass because of the flooding. I dug a new trench, I think last Tuesday or Wednesday, or I think it was Tuesday. But yeah, that'll all be figured out eventually. But yeah, for the weekend, it was the first weekend with the Switch 2 since getting it early in the week, so I really had more time to sit and play with it. And boy, did I have a good time. So let's jump into that. Okay. So, yeah, if you see here, July 13th, list of games, mainly Switch 2. But, speaking of 2, did play It Takes Two with the wife again. We are getting a lot further. I feel like we're near the end of the game. Near the end. So, I'm glad that I'm putting this time in it. 16 hours, almost. Impressive. They have a way out, and then the newest one called Split Fiction. And I'm hoping those would be more interesting for me, but still fun enough, for my wife. So we'll see. Okay, I want to talk about Fast Fusion. There is a video up on this channel, a main video. It's actually very low quality. I was using Meld to record, and I've come to find out that it's still better to record if it's just pure gameplay that you want to record in the highest quality possible. It's still best to kind of use like OBS or maybe NVIDIA Shadowplay. But anyway, I was just recording a track I played from this racing game, Fast Fusion. It's a $15 game that is a launch title for the Switch 2, and it is a strong launch title. And you would think, well, you already got Mario Kart. Do you need another racing game? And my answer would be no, I don't. But when you play Fast Fusion, it's just its own thing. Again, there's a video up that you could watch where I play my favorite level I've come across. I love the music and just how it looks. The game looks great, runs great. You can tell, that it's Switch 2 and not like a high-end PC, but I'm not going to dwell on that. The game is so fun. I love it's a fast racing game. It has this orange, blue. You change between them every once in a while when you come across a either orange or blue boost. You just have to match the color to boost, and it's just a button press to do it. So it seems like it's an added layer of functionality. It doesn't take away from the game, but it also maybe adds a little bit for your brain, as you're mindlessly racing. You're not mindlessly racing in this, especially with jumping. You can jump in this, and you want to, there's a jump button, and you go high, but you don't want to just use it at any time. You'll easily die. So you want to use it. The game has shortcuts on tracks, and you try to like look, okay, where could I jump maybe to get a shortcut? And then there's coins. Yeah, like Mario, there's coins you select throughout the track. These coins actually build up your boost meter because you're always wanting to boost between the boosts on the ground that show up. And those coins, though, you get those coins plus what you get by winning are used to buy new ships, or they're not cars, or buy new tracks, or the new cups. So like once you get enough credit because you've gotten either all second or first place on a cup, you can then buy the next set. It's something like that. With it's interesting with the way the ships or the carts work, whatever you want to call them, is you buy one, you can buy one, and then you can choose to fuse it with another, and there's all these different combinations, so you can create your own like custom ship, which is pretty neat. I mean, there's probably a limited number of customizations, but I kind of like, so I like all this that's going on while it's a very fast paced, like Wipeout style game. I haven't even gotten to the fastest cup yet. I'm still on like the middle tier. For $15, this game is so fun to me that it cements itself as like a fun Switch 2 launch title. Like, oh, what were some good Switch 2 launch titles? That Fast Fusion racing game. It's kind of fun. I feel like sometimes we ignore, or not, do we ignore? No, it's not like we ignore the racing games. I think we take for granted racing games sometimes. And just recently, and it's on Switch 2, they have it's not Konami, Bandai, the arcade archives of their Air Combat game, and then Ridge Racer. I would love to get those for the Switch 2 eventually. You know, it's just they're $15 a piece too, so that would add up really quick. So I'm gonna wait. Okay, back to Mario Kart World. Okay, another interesting thing. So normally Sunday nights I do that anime night. Well, two individuals weren't able to show up, so I thought, okay, instead of then continuing the shows we're watching, I'll play some video games. So I was able to do some multiplayer Switch 2, which worked out, perfect timing. What did we start with? I think Mario Kart World, and we just did the knockout tour, and it was a lot of fun where you just you do consecutive levels and try not to get knocked out. It's pretty fun. And I want to say it was either that or maybe it was the Fast Fusion that my brother even beat me, even though he had no experience playing these. And yeah, the Mario Kart World was cool. And then I was showing him Tears of the Kingdom just because of how much better it looks and runs on the Switch 2, and maybe my TV helps as well. We did this test where we were turning on the Motion Plus built into the TV, but between him and I going back and forth, Motion Plus on and off, we couldn't tell a difference actually, and it could just be because the game is operating at its max. Even if you were to turn on the Motion Plus for the game mode on the TV, the Zelda game already plays at a max that the TV would be handling anyway, a 4K 60. It's not 120 hertz. So maybe that's why we didn't see anything. So I'll have to test it out with maybe a game with lesser frame rate. This was really cool to jump into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate. So again, this is a game that came out first on Apple Arcade. I really liked it. Then when it came out on Switch, I was like, I'd rather have it, on a handheld. Now it's on Steam. But then it's like, okay, it's good that I have it on the handheld because I got the Switch too. But you know what? There's no upgrade. Hold on a second. Hold on. Okay, there was a sneeze and then it went away. You know how there's that sneeze every morning I do? Anyway. So the Splinter Fate, unfortunately, it does not look good on a Switch 2 because it's almost having to blow up the screens, because I'm sure it might have been native 720 originally or maybe less than that. So everything looks blown up and distorted. Unfortunately. Fortunately, it was fun and I played some co-op. Again, I hadn't played this game co-op, especially couch co-op. Here's what was cool. Playing couch co-op, I was able just to resume my run. And then when my brother joined me, he had unlocked abilities that I had unlocked for the turtles. So I like that within the game, if I was to play co-op with people, they would have all my abilities I've already unlocked. So no one has to start from scratch. Now, I don't know how that works. And that's what's, I guess, interesting because it's a separate run, right? Like you can't play your own run with someone and help them out. It's strictly a game that you have to play for fun and not be glued down to the progression, which that's kind of the point of these games because they're roguelites. You do all that work and then you die and then anyway, I have to think about that more. I'm hoping that they come out with an upgrade because it does not look good on the Switch, and it is a fun game, and it deserves an upgrade. And they just did DLC, so I'm sure they're maybe working on it. And then with the GameCube Nintendo Classics, I just jumped in to show off some Soul Calibur 2 because, I'm coming around to the idea that, I love doing emulation and stuff, but I guess another reason why, if there's an option, I would rather pay to get that done officially if there's an official means of doing it right there. Because in this case, the way the GameCube games run on Switch 2 are really good. They run really good, and it's like you don't have to tinker with anything to make sure the settings are right like you would do, you know. The only problem is I don't like that on Exophase, and this isn't Exophase's fault. This is Nintendo's fault. That these games just shows up that I played Nintendo GameCube. It doesn't show up that I played a certain game on GameCube. So, does that matter too much? Not really, because I feel like if I really wanted to then play through and document a game that would take some time, let's say like Super Metroid, I would probably use the emulator instead of playing it through this. Now, if it was a small game, might not be a big deal, but it's very interesting because it almost doesn't matter. Did you get to try Casey? No, he's the new DLC, and I haven't bought it yet because I feel like I haven't played enough of the game, even though it says I played 3 hours and 40 minutes. I feel like there's way more I want to do first, but I do want to try that. Okay, something real quick before we go to the news is, well, one, here's a Todd McFarlane Warhammer 40K action figure. In fact, I did not know that Todd McFarlane was making figures based on the Space Marine 2 game. I knew he had some Warhammer figures. And for as much as I've been in Target, it was the first time I saw it. And it's like, it was the platinum, on the box, it's like the platinum edition. It means it's the chase variant. And this was on clearance. So I had to get it. And it is the main character from the game. They have his face too. He comes with, it's cool because it's like the alternate weapons in the game as well as the helmet to put on. And it's cool because I have the Joy Toy Space Marine, a couple of the Joy Toy Space Marines, but I never had the ones from the game. I just got some Space Marines. And then they released ones for the game, and I was like, oh, I should get it sometime. But then the game disappointed me a bit, even though I still think it's cool. But then when I saw this at Target, I was like, this is calling to me. It has some cloth goods because this is not expensive, and it's bigger, fully articulated, tons of detail. And it's a game type thing. So I really jived with that. But here's what we're really going to talk about here. And let me see something. I thought there was a brief window where he was free, or was that PS4 only? Oh, interesting. That might have been the case. And that would make sense if it was PS4 only because I think it had just released. The game just came out on PS4 and Xbox when they had dropped that DLC. So I bet that was a way to get people to get it. Because it was weird. They did Apple Arcade, Switch, Steam, and then PS4, Xbox. It's weird they staggered it like that. I wonder if they thought people would just buy it multiple times. But anyway, check this out. This is the Switch 2 Pro controller, right? So this is, if you guys are familiar with the Switch 1 Pro controller, it's a very well-made controller. Considering I feel like with PlayStation and Xbox and even third party, they're kind of going forward with all the technology and things to make these like high-end controllers that you'd pay for. The thing is, this is $84 or $80, $85. I forget. I feel like that's a lot in a way, but I also feel like if this holds up and is sturdy, that would be worth it because this controller feels absolutely amazing. So let's, at first, the first thing I always want to bring up is the fact that both Microsoft and Nintendo came to the inevitable conclusion of the shape of a gamepad. Both Microsoft, Nintendo have the same shape, and it's very comfortable. So I'm glad that's the case. But on top of this, just the feeling, the size and feeling of the face buttons and shoulder buttons, it's not found on any other controller. It's just so premium here. It really is. It doesn't have that tactile mouse click that's very popular now with a lot of, like the Switch type keys. It doesn't do that. It's still the basic, but it feels very good. The only place I would kind of complain would be the left joystick, as opposed to the right. And I don't know if it has to just do with placement of my thumbs on it, but if the left one feels a little too non-grippy, I think that's what it is. You don't really have a lot of grip. Like I could feel my fingers sliding around in here a lot. So what I'm thinking of doing is, hey, Jim Killex, good to see you. is just I have, a bag of those little silicone grips. I might want to put one on here to see if it helps, because I will say the right stick, there's something about that it works really good with aiming. Like it just it I feel like when you play games with dual stick setups, it's mostly because the right side is maybe to do some sort of orientation, while the left side is the actual character, or the right side's a camera, while the left side is the character. And on the gamepad, they really do a good job of making the right analog stick feel really good for aiming. It's just the left also feels good for aiming, so it's hard for walking. And I don't know. It sounds weird what I'm saying, but that's just what came to me. Another thing is using this as a way to turn on your Switch 2 from the couch. So luckily for me, with the way my new TV works, the TV could be off, the Switch could be off. I could pick this up, press the home, it will turn on the Switch and the TV to the Switch. It's very nice. Lastly, there's two buttons on the back here, and I really like how they work because it's hard to accidentally press them, but it's easy to need to press them when you need to. And what you do is, while you're using this controller and you're playing a game, you can hold down the home button, and it brings up, that menu where you would put it to sleep. But instead, it shows GL and GR, which is the name of the buttons. They're using G, and you can change to what you want. And I hadn't done that yet, but I really need to. I would say for like Fast Fusion, the racing game, because there's boost, jump, and then switching the colors, I would probably put jump or boost under here. Maybe both jump and boost. Just because up here, as you're racing and then still pressing, it's just a lot. I don't know. What's another idea? I'm sure in Tears of the Kingdom, there's probably something I could do. I'm playing Link's Awakening, which, did I skip that? No, that was on this when I was showing what I'd been playing. Let me go to that real quick. The Link's Awakening. So 7 hours and 22 minutes. So I've put a lot of time in Link's Awakening. I'm actually having a lot of fun with it now that it runs better on the Switch 2. That could do some back buttons. I don't know. There's just very few buttons you have to press for that game anyway. So, final verdict, Switch 2 Pro Controller. It feels absolutely fantastic. And I think something I didn't actually mention is the biggest takeaway to me is how premium it feels in your hand. Both the Switch 2 and the Switch 2 Pro Controller are the most premium I think a new handheld has felt. There's some sort of texture on both of them that just make them feel more high-end than a PlayStation, than an Xbox. So I want to throw that in there. And then the other thing I'm excited about this week that's coming up soon is the Donkey Kong Bonanza. Do we have any information, any news on that? It comes out July 17th. Some people already have it early. So I'm really interested in that. Okay, let's jump into some news. Fatal Fury City of the Wolves DLC character Ken. This is neat. I haven't got City of the Wolves yet, and that's on my list for this year to get. And then they're getting Ken, which is really cool. I'm glad they're doing DLC like that to get more people to buy it. But it's just, man, when you see the reviews, but I'm gonna want to. I'm gonna want to get this. Yeah, this week, I know the 17th. I'm excited because it is the Mario team proper that made this game. So it is essentially just a Mario platformer. I think it's going to be really good. Ken looked sick, and I love they did this as a direct reference to Terry's story. And, oh, I didn't know that's what it is. Is it like the stories are related? Like they're in the same universe? That's interesting. Okay. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 critical consensus. So I was talking to my brother about this last night, and he had, played, 1 and 2. They recently came out with, with the remaster. I played a little bit of it. He actually went through and beat it all. And it seems like he's going to go through and beat 3 and 4. So what was the purpose of me pulling up this article? Wow, there's a lot to read here, and I really should actually give it that time. There's a Ninja Turtle. That's pretty cool, actually. Um, let's see. Well, Iron Galaxy has excellently modernized the gameplay and graphics of these classics to feel right in 2025. I wish it had done a better job of highlighting the influence these games once had in their heyday. I don't know if that's as important. When the combos started to flow again for me after a few hours, it felt so freeing, she wrote. I still don't think there's a better skating game out there than old school Tony Hawk's, even after all this time. There's certainly no better time capsule of this pivotal moment in the sport. So yeah, I totally agree that those Tony Hawk games have a great feeling to them, but I guess for me personally, it made it to where I got tired of it. And I do like Skate. Skate 3, was that the last one on Xbox? I do like, I think I almost like graduated to that. But I know there's a new Skate that's supposed to be coming out, or who knows if that got delayed or canceled. But anyway, I think it's cool. You know, Tony Hawk was a big deal with video games in a way that it was an example of something that was beyond the video game, you know. And then with the music going on also. Yeah, in Terry's arcade mode, he found Ken depressed from the events of Street Fighter 6. They've been friends since CVS. Oh, that's cool. And he cheered him up. Then he was like, keep that fire burning. And next time, visit my place. Ken is out visiting Terry's place. That is really neat that they did it like that. I'm glad you told me. Because I did get that DLC in Street Fighter 6. All right. This week's Japanese game release is Donkey Kong Bonanza, Eden Zero, and more. Eden Zero. I don't know if I've been heard about it on the side, but don't know how that's going to do. Also due out this week, Shadow Labyrinth, Hunter x Hunter. Nothing that's a big deal to me. But I mean, the big release here. Oh, the Dragon Ball Z Kakarot Daima edition. That's pretty big. But I think for me and for most, the big thing is Donkey Kong Bonanza. Although I'm just looking at some other things in here. Twisted Metal 3 and Twisted Metal 4 are launching on PS4 and PS5. So, hold up. So one thing I will say is, I guess it's coming to premium. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. Yeah, that's tomorrow. That's really cool. I like that it's still coming to PS4 because again, I feel like it would be cool for developers to try to make things run on PS4 as long as you can. And you know, I don't have a PS4 anymore, but if I came across one, I would get it. It was interesting. I had a PS4 and then I sold it. What was I'm trying to think of what I was trying to do because then I remember I had to buy one back again. Yeah, I think I sold it in that time where I was selling games, selling my stuff. And then I was mainly going on PC, and then Gundam Battle Operation 2 was like on PS4 only. I think that's what that was. Yeah, it's weird. I'm trying to think back. It's like within the span of a year, I think I sold a PS4, bought an extra Xbox, and then bought the PS4 back. Because I was wanting to do, I had bought a second Xbox so there could be a second Xbox to play multiplayer games like Battlefront 2 and all that. Let's see. I kind of missed the sports video game craze of the 90s and early 2000s. Yeah, there was that Extreme game on PlayStation. I think it was just called Extreme or whatever. It had like rollerblading, skating, and all that. I wonder if Chun-Li is going to have a story reference like that too. Yeah, that would be good if they did. I think they have to now, if that's what they're capable of. Especially if, you know, from what I heard, the City of the Wolves didn't sell too well. So whatever they can do to add to it. Jim Killex is saying Eden Zero is an entertaining manga, but the game feels a bit bare bones. I played the demo that lets you transfer save data. Oh, that's cool. You know what? I might just have to I mean, if there's a demo and you can transfer, yeah, Eden Zero. Let's look at this. Wow, yeah. Okay. Interesting stuff. I might have to check out the demo. So interesting that you say it's based from a manga, and that is a manga that I didn't know about, but it actually kind of showed it here a second ago. And it's straight up a Konami joint. I feel like I should support Konami just because. Last year, we got that Castlevania Dominus Collection with the brand new Castlevania game on it. And this year, we're getting Gradius Origins with a brand new Gradius game. Gradius, however you say it. So shout out to Konami, actually. You're saying to wait for a sale. I am going to... I'm just going to install the demo just so I can at least give it a shot. That's pretty cool. Although JamKillX now sometimes I'm thinking, do I get this on PC or do I get it on my Switch 2, which is very capable now of playing a lot of these games that, yeah, will be in that form factor. Like you were saying, do you have the Pixel remakes of the Final Fantasy games? They had a sale where you can get all of them, and it was like really cheap. And I was like, should I do that just to have it? Because that's probably it's not like you could play them any better than how they're made to be able to run on a Switch, unless that is an inaccurate statement. I don't know. Okay, let's jump through here. I think, yeah, there's this World's End Club now available for PS5. I hadn't heard of this. Let's look and see what it could show us. Nothing. Very little information on here. Let's do a search. Oh, and it's on PC, and there's a demo. Isn't it funny how it works like that all the time? So I get vibes of Scott Pilgrim when I saw this, right? And then World's End was directed, the movie, if I'm not mistaken, there was a movie called World's End that was directed by the guy that directed the Scott Pilgrim movie. It's probably not related and just coincidence, but... And I don't know how much this is going to be like more like a Persona where you're just talking to people. Because in all this, I had not seen any gameplay. Oh, you do have them. Okay. Oh. Well, you guys know your stuff. Yeah, I'm going to have to check out that demo once that downloads. Okay, so anyway, let's move on real quick. An untitled Donkey Kong film has been recently registered by Universal Pictures and Nintendo, so that's cool. I mean, I could just see that. You know, Nintendo coming out with their Mario movie, their Donkey Kong movie, their Zelda movie, Metroid movie. Okay. I could do that, Nintendo. Let's see. What was this? Forza Horizon 5 sold 2 million copies on PS5. Now, that is amazing. Think about how smart Microsoft was just then when people were like, don't put your games third party. Yet now this game is played by more people and is making more money. So, and I know they're working on another Forza Horizon. And look at this. Donkey Kong Bonanza copies out in the wild. I mean, my plan is to get it digitally. But I wonder if maybe if I get it physical, I could maybe get it cheaper, you know, if I can get a discount. I always like that. But also that whole idea of the, you know, having the cartridge so the game's on it. I'm not too sold on that, but I understand that to where I might do that. Yeah, totally unrelated. The World's End was just about aliens, yeah. Would you prefer live or animated Metroid? I think they could do a live action Metroid, and I think you can even have a horror budget, a horror movie budget. Just have it where Samus is sneaking around on a planet, coming across some aliens, shooting, and you would have to have some interesting character development in there. Other M sort of touches on that in a way. And Fusion, you can make it where something has to do with the relationship with the Metroid. But I think a lot of what I would want to do is stylized light horror. And when I say horror, I just mean because Samus would be sneaking around on a planet, creepy planet, shooting aliens, monster-like stuff. Whereas I think you can do it in a non-rated R fashion, where you can make it intense, awesome monster-killing action, but anyone could watch it. But I think if you frame it around that, it could allow them to make something that doesn't require a big budget. Animated Metroid gets my vote. I feel like with the amount of CGI needed for a Metroid, it might as well just be animated. So, Autonomous, that is a very good point. And in fact, doing it that way might end up being a more cost-effective way to get a cool Metroid story out there for everyone. I just think it would be really cool to cast Sydney Sweeney as Samus. No, I'm joking. Although that works. No, it would be cool to get like a no name. It would be cool to get someone that is not, super well known, but maybe they are a cosplayer. So there might be some inherent ability of costuming. I don't know. That's a cool discussion, though. That's a cool discussion. And let Samus be more mobile. Yeah, that's the thing. How do you pull off the Samus suit in live action for CGI? If they do live, they need, yeah. Okay, that is a good idea. You would think a Metroid would be CGI, but to have a practical puppet, yeah, and in the mix, yeah, even if it was a Samus suit, let's say that part of the actress that's wearing the suit, part of it's like a green spandex, and then part of it are armor pieces, maybe like at least the gun, so she could, do that. But then you would CGI. I don't know. That stuff is really cool. I hope they do something like that. Anyway, Nintendo, I would love to help make a Metroid movie. And I'll just say, and I think I brought this up before, when I was a kid, I would get my G.I. Joes, I would get Play-Doh, orange and yellow Play-Doh, and I would put the Play-Doh on the G.I. Joe to make the armor of Samus. That was before they had the action figures, way before, because this was in the 90s. So, all right, guys, I'm going to head out. This was a lot of fun. I'm headed to work. Have a good rest of the day. We will talk tomorrow. Until next time, be cool.